And I just want to go set this up. Oops. My timeline. Okay, it looks like we're live. So, thank you very much for joining me, for joining us, Dr. Kedar. I know you had a long day. I think you told me
My pleasure and my honor.
Thank you. Mazel tov to your, I guess, daughter on her graduation.
My daughter brought a granddaughter.
Oh, wow. Wait, you said graduation or?
Both. The
Wow.
same daughter of mine,
Uh-huh.
Elisheva, gave birth recently.
Amazing.
To
Wow.
a cute girl.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday she got her degree in treating kids with communications problems.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So mazal tov on both things.
Thank you so much.
It's funny, like the last time we spoke or last time we saw each other, it was in your apartment last summer. And my friend Ari Lewis interviewed you. And I guess I was the producer, cameraman. And I remember that Naftali Bennett had just become the prime minister, somehow figured out a way to become the prime minister through a bunch of what we call dugri. And I asked you, how long do you think this is going to last? And you told me, you said the word weeks, one word, you said weeks. I think I was a little more optimistic than you because I was thinking, because it was June, so I was thinking it was going to last until the Hagim. So I guess I was thinking 3 months. It turns out we were both wrong. And then I think a few weeks ago, I messaged you and I said, look, looks like we're both wrong. And you said to me something to the effect of, Bennett paid X amount of money to such and such people to keep his lousy coalition together. I'm not going to say everything you said because I don't know if you're still friendly with Bennett. I know you guys live in the same town. I don't want to get you in trouble. Can you please, I guess, maybe elaborate on what you meant by that? And also just talk about maybe what you think is going forward, with Lapid. Is it just like a lame duck situation with, Lapid's 15 minutes, 4 months of fame? Do you think he matters? Do you think he's going to do anything significant? And how does this all play into like what's going on with Iran, for example?
Yeah. But first of all, let me do something. Let's say a doctor has a patient who, God forbid, has the cancer. And the doctor tells the patient, hey guy, you have between weeks and months to live. And miraculously, this patient actually passes away after a year. So the doctor was wrong? No. He knew exactly that the patient has cancer. He knew exactly that the patient will die out of it. Well, his estimation about weeks or months turned to be, in reality, a year.
Yeah.
So I don't call it a mistake because the diseases which the former government suffered from were already clear in the first day, before even the first week of party by a right-wingish card like Yamina and Saar are sitting in the same government with the Islamic movement embodied in the Ram party, which doesn't see even one reason for the state of Israel to exist, because this is what they believe in. Okay, so this disease of trying to bridge between so-called right-wingish parties and the Muslim Brotherhood, who really believe that Israel should be abolished, and the occupation is not occupation of 67, The problem is the occupation of 1948. This is what they think. So to sit together with one government, with these two polar parties, this is impossible. It was only possible because the money which this government paid as ransom for keeping it all together. And this is how we should look at things, not a month or a year. We should look at it through the lens of illegitimacy. By the way, in the Arab sector as well. Many criticized Mansour Abbas for sitting with us and for forging a government. So it's not us only Jews, it's also the Arabs in Israel who did have problems with this government.
So where do you see Lapid in all of this now that he's, I guess, officially the prime minister? You know, he just flew to see Macron and they hugged, you know, as if they're like old friends and, I don't know, family members. And from what I see from him, I guess he sounds more right-wing than any prime minister I've ever heard, maybe even Bibi. Or is it just lip service?
We will judge him according to what he's doing, not according to what he's saying. So far, we didn't see significant actions which he took part or even encouraged or created. When we see in 4 months what he offered us, what he arranged for us, and what action did he take for us, only then we can decide whether we should vote for him or not. So it should be tested logically and without any personal issues. And this is the problem today in Israel, because politics in Israel became very personal. Yes, Bibi, no Bibi. You know, yes, Minister yes, Netanyahu or not. This is not the question. The question is ideology. Should be the ideology. If there is a good party with good people who would serve the ideology of the state, of the Jewish, Israeli, Zionist ideology, and to promote this idea, let them be whatever they like as a party to take out the country from the swamp of personal issues which it sank into. Politics should never be about this man or that man. Politics should be about programs, about agenda, not about personal issues. And I think it's time that we are ready to go forward with elections which will be only about ideology and implementation of ideology rather than people and their carry-on bag, I would say, of all kinds of shticks and tricks which they do before the elections in order to gain the people's sympathy. It should be about ideology, not about persons.
You mentioned personal, I guess, feelings. You know, I remember before Bennett formed this coalition, Bibi was still trying to form his because they gave him the opportunity. And one of the things he tried to do was he asked Gideon Sa'ar, hey, listen, man, do you want to be, tandem prime minister in the rotation? You'll go first. I mean, it seems like you mentioned, we mentioned Lapid. Lapid is now being given a 4-month chance to prove if he's like capable of doing the job. Sa'ar, he was offered a 1.5-year chance. And the guy just didn't take it. Was it that bad of a personal vendetta that he had against Bibi that he was just like, I don't care if Bibi offers me 50-year chance, I'm not going to take it?
Look, if we really look into what Netanyahu did through the last 12 years, can very easily, he's a great statesman. Great. He could in one day meet with Putin and Trump together without making neither of them angry.
Yeah.
So on the global arena, he went to Washington, D.C. to speak to the Congress in spite of the refusal of President Obama to this thing. He couldn't care less. He went to April. Then, to the Congress. So no doubt, Netanyahu has big merits and very proven, I would say, ability on the international arena. Yet, when it comes to here, he is no more than a mediocre politician versus excellent statesman. Here, domestically, he is a politician. And nobody can deny the fact that for the last 4 rounds of elections, the man failed. So what I suggest is that everybody leaves the personal issues and concentrate on ideology. And if it's not enough, try to forward your own ideas with your own party. All the parties have the right to exist, no doubt. And the thing is that the more national parties like the Tzionut Datit, the less, I think, is the popular support to such a party, because they look more and more and increasing form, they become personal, these rounds of elections.
Mhm.
And this is a disaster when it comes to Israel, because we depend on each other. We should depend on each other, regardless of our political inclination or tribal inclination, all these other things.
So talk to me about Iran. I mean, it seems like even when Bennett was in, he was talking a lot about Iran, doing something literally, directly about Iran, because up until now, we've just been kind of fighting this proxy war with them, with Hezbollah and Hamas and all these things. But there's just supposedly talk and rumblings about actually repeating what we did with Iraq, Iraq, sending jets and doing something there. Is there anything on that?
Well, as much as I read in the media, Iran now is digging large tunnels in order to host their nuclear, their biologic programs. Greg, my battery is weak. Just let me put the electricity.
Not a problem.
And you can edit it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't notice.
It's all good. No problem. We got some people watching. We have a few people watching actually the live, so which is good. Oops. I have to get our leftist for a second. Hopefully he'll come back. Stand by, guys, for station identification. Let me go check the WhatsApp. I hope that he's still there. Stand by, everybody. Second, pause recording. Okay, we're back. So you were talking about Iran. Sorry? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Dr. Kedar, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? We are having technical difficulties just when we're getting into Iran, the conversation, and we've been zapped. We have been zapped, my friends. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, we're good.
No,
now.
I can.
We just had some technical difficulties. So you were talking about Iran.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
When we talk about Iran, we have to look at two arenas which Iran actually is running forward in. One arena is the military nuclear program, which is aiming at producing a nuclear bomb. Iran continue with this program very fast, and according to estimations which I read, people talk about months until they succeed to put their hand on the first warhead, nuclear warhead. This one thing. Second arena is the Middle East. So far, Iran succeeded to subjugate some 6 pro-Iran entities: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Gaza Strip. In Gaza Strip, they have enough relations and good relations with the Islamic Jihad, with the idea of the Shahada, means the Shaheed. Empire, which Iran built, first of all, it is on its way to expand it, means to have more countries joining it. And in addition, this coalition of states, or empire, I would say, is run by Iranian money, the Iranian budget, and the Iranian leadership. Why? In our societies in the West, people are not looking for the church to support the political standpoint. So here you are, this generation of nations, which we saw in the desert, definitely should be treated in a different way compared to the Arabs who live in Shechem or in Hebron or in Tamim. And there is a way how to deal with Iran. Iran, in my humble view, is on the verge of being shattered to pieces based on the fact that there is no Iranian nation. But there is a group of ethnic groups. It's a group of ethnic groups, or gathering of ethnic groups, which never became a nation. There are Persians who are a minority, and there are other ethnic groups like Arabs in the district which is named Ahwaz, Baluchis, Azeris, Kurds, Turkmens, in addition to the Persians ones. And these actually are the majority of the Iranian citizens. And there are some more ethnic groups like the Qashqais and Luris and others. What happens is, the last, let's say, couple of months, there is a large insurgency of the non-Persian peoples of Iran. And if countries like Israel, like Saudi Arabia, like the United States help those rebels, they very possibly might bring the demise of the ex-Soviet Union. And this is the way how Iran should be treated. Because remember what happened when the Soviet Union also was shattered to pieces according to the ethnic lines. It actually brought the end of the Warsaw Pact. Means read the Volvo, follow the Volvo, and do whatever you have to do. This is the issue with Iran. Volvo here I mean by the essence. And the essence, and the Iranian nation, which doesn't exist, or the Iranian population, should be divided to ethnic groups, just like what happened with Soviet Union and Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia, which were divided to ethnic groups. And now these countries are flourishing. The same thing should be with Iran. And governments like the United States government and Israeli government should support those rebels against the Iranian regime.
Can I challenge you for a second? As someone who was born in the former Soviet Union, I can tell you that some of those republics which became countries did end up flourishing. Others did not. If you're talking about Belarus, if you're talking about Moldova, Ukraine, because of all of their kind of, I would say, they had like a residue of Russian culture. They I guess retained, there's a lot of corruption. It's a cultural thing. I guess, again, I'm not saying this, I'm saying this as a person who was born in the Ukraine. So it's not so cut and dry as you're describing. Not only that, it seems to be a little bit different because with Iran, you just have these, it's like sectarian almost. I mean, they are different peoples. Some of them are Muslims, some of them are, I think, Zoroastrian, some of them are, there's Sunnis, there's Shiites.
These are in addition to the ethnic issues.
Yeah.
But from the ethnic point of view, there is no Iranian nation.
Sure. That's true. But yeah, when you mention the Soviet Union, I just think it's a bit different. Again, like, you go to the Balkans.
I'm not saying that it's the same thing.
Yeah.
What I mean is that multi-ethnic states tend to fall apart.
Sure.
According to ethnic lines.
Sure.
So this is the same fate.
So here's my question. If Iran, let's say, falls apart, in Putin's case, he considered it the worst moment in history when the Soviet Union fell, not because he's necessarily a communist, but because of it was like this cohesive economic unit and economic giant. And so he's like, okay, so Ukraine, or part of Ukraine, used to be part of Russia. He decided eventually to go to war. Do you think Iran or Tehran would go to war with any of these other, republics if this thing fell apart?
Well, I didn't say that the situation is identical.
Yeah.
But the same rule which you can apply on European countries can be implemented here as well. Because the state is viewed as illegitimate. Although it is legal, it is illegitimate in the eyes of most people, those who are oppressed by the Persian people.
Sure.
And that's actually what brings me the idea that since they hate not only the regime today, they hate the state with a problem with a passport.
Sure.
The thing is that the state is viewed as illegitimate. And this is why, except for the Persians, everybody will actually came to Israel to protest against this regime. And you can see it in the social media. And this has resonated in the population of Iran.
No.
Every day they have some kind of arson against petroleum facilities of the government, almost every single day.
But with that said, I mean, we saw the green protest, I guess, in 2009, and Obama was the president in America. And I remember they were asking for help from America. Please help us to topple this regime, and nothing was done. And you look now. There's Biden is in there. I don't think he's going to do anything. So, are the Iranian people capable of just toppling their own government by themselves?
All they need is weapons, which you can buy in Iraq very easily. and ship them to Iran. That's all. That's all they need. And it doesn't have to be, with direct involvement. It's enough if you call some weapons dealer in Iraq and you say, hey, guy, you please fill a container with all kinds of things and bring it to the border. And the day after you bring it, your bank account will see an injection of something. So these things have to be arranged, but they're able to be arranged.
So is there something Israel can do directly in terms of just, again?
Yeah.
Uh,
By Israel can pay these weapon dealers in Iraq to give them these weapons to the Ahwazi rebels. It won't cost much to Israel, first of all, because it's a net expense, and it's a good and for a good reason. You have to imagine Iran is falling. How much Israel will pay for this to be achieved?
Yeah.
Of course.
So essentially what you're saying is, I mean, it doesn't even matter if they keep building what they're building in terms of the nuclear aspect. If the regime falls, we're done.
It's not the regime, the state.
The state, rather.
They had problems with the Shah as well.
Yeah, sure.
It's with the state they should deal with.
So do you think, I guess, I don't, it's probably anybody's guess. Do you think Lapid is up to the challenge in the next 4 months? Or he's just gonna, linger and then we're gonna have another election?
Look, I'm not a prophet. But I hope that the Iranian threat, which is a realistic threat, will convince our politicians to sit together without erasing each other's personality or name, and they should be together in every.
So I think with regards to the elections, the upcoming elections in Israel, like they keep having, there's polls that they release, these news outlets. And it looks like if you include this guy, Amichai Shikli, who I guess he's gonna have his own party, whatever, and they're assuming that he's gonna pass the threshold, it looks like Israel might have the most ostensibly right-wing government we've ever had, with I guess 63 or 62 seats, to do the math. So can you talk about that? Is that like maybe a positive thing or a negative thing? It seems like there's no, a lot of people would say there's no plurality. It's just like a bunch of, Bibi and a bunch of religious people and Masorti. So is that bad, good, necessary?
Look, I don't know what people are going to say about Bibi. I'm not one of his fans at all. But what I'm saying is that everybody should look at the ideology, leave the persons. If people agree about some kind of ideology that they deserve it, Kadima, why not? I mean, this is what we should take into account, the points in the art, things like this, and not the ideology which people have.
Sure. Do you think that, let's say somebody like a Ben Gvir, obviously he won't be the prime minister, but he'll have a significant, him and then people like Smotrich and people like this who are going to have significant roles in the government, let's say. Do you think we'll finally move forward with, let's say, doing something about Judea and Samaria after all these years?
I think that Israel should declare sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, or at least parts of Judea and Samaria, regardless of anything else. And let the Americans think about this, what they think. They are against any presence of Israelis on 7 and 8. But what I'm saying is that politics here should be run by ideologues, not by people who have an agenda or about the people, about personalities. This is very bad what happened here during the last, let's say, 2 years. And it should be changed. Otherwise, we are doomed.
Sure. I want to move on to, I guess, something more global. If you talk to, it's an interesting thing. If you talk to a lot of Israelis and you ask them about, Russia, Ukraine, Putin, it seems like a lot of people in Israel, Jews, seem to, I don't know, not mind Putin or like Putin. It's interesting to me, but everybody knows that he funds, he funds Syria, and a lot of that money goes to Hezbollah. A lot of the money goes to Hamas. He helps Iran. So I'm trying to understand, why do you think Israelis, despite knowing what they know about what Putin is up to, why do you think they support him?
First of all, they want to save their investments in Iran. The Europeans invested who knows how many billions of dollars in the oil industry of Iran. They definitely want to see the revenues because they still remember what happened in Iraq. When Saddam Hussein was ousted, before he was killed, he said the British government, which tried to get some money out of Iraq because of their investments, no, so you took a risk, and here you are. The risk has to be demanded for you. Another country which lost money in those days was France and Germany, who all supported the health system in their. I lost the name. Greg, I am rather tired. Let's continue it in a different time because I cannot concentrate.
Not a problem. Completely understood.
Okay. I have to go to bed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue this for sure.
Yes, I apologize. But
it's totally okay.
And I'm afraid I have a fever, but
yeah.
Let's continue in another occasion.
Mazel tov. Yeah, Dr. Kedar had some family function, and Mazel tov,
and I deeply apologize.
Refuah Shlema, and yeah, it's totally okay. All right.
See you.
See you soon.